This is Robert Mata, and I'm here in Houston with my cousins. Armita's here, Armita Baxter Lerma, her nephew, Paul Lerma, and her other nephew, Robert Lerma. And I'm Robert Mata. My mother was Lydia Lerma. Her father was Pantaleon John Lerma, and his father was Simon Lerma de Leon. So you see him on the screen here. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of his history and talk about who Simon Lerma de Leon was. He was born in 1843 in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, which was one of the very early states of Mexico. Goes way back to probably, I think, the 16th century. Now, by the way, the Lermas can date back at least 400 years into Mexico to the Hacienda de los Lermas, which was a place where all the Lermas had come from Spain, migrated, and had arrived into Mexico, the New World, into that part of Mexico. It's not really the southern part, but in any case, so the Lerma family, and today's date is February 28, 2025. And Armita and Paul and Robert are here with me at my house. I'm here in Houston. So let's get into the Lerma family. Now, one of the things that I came up with and found this past year was an article I found in the El Paso Times, and it was dated July 30th. Well, actually, the newspaper was dated Saturday, August 1891. And it's an article that reads, Attempted Murder of a U.S. Deputy Marshal at Polvo, Texas. And the author, we're not sure who the author is. So it's a special to the Times. And you notice that it has the word Polvo in here. Now, Polvo is where Simon Lerma, now I'm going to use Papa known because some of the members of the family use Papa known or refer to him as Simon. Armida refers to him as Simon, but I'm going to go ahead and refer to him, well, interchangeably. But you see his name here is Simon L. de Leon. The L is Lerma, actually, and then de Leon. So Lerma is his father's name, and then de Leon is his mother's name. Now, a lot of documentation use Simon de Leon, and that is because Simon's father died when Simon was 8 months old. So he never knew his father. His father was out of the picture. And whether his mother remarried, I've kind of found another relationship, but in any case, he did not know his father. His father's name was Eugenio, okay, and his mother's name was Josefa de Leon, from the same state, Nuevo Leon. So I'm going to go into that, and here it's, as I mentioned, is an attempted murder, and this is on Simon de Leon. At the time, he was a U.S. Deputy Marshal in that area of Redford, Texas, which is also Polvo. And Redford is on the Rio Grande, and it's about, I would say, about 320 miles from El Paso, more or less, give or take. And you will see here that I'm going to go more in detail about the shooting. And there was one other point that I was going to make, but it'll come to me. But I'm going to go ahead and read from, or actually paraphrase from this article. I transcribed it. So you can see here that I've transcribed it. It's attempted murder. And actually what happened, that Simon had been in that area, which was called the Bloody Peninsula. That area, a lot of marauders and thieves, bandits, cattle rustling, horse thieves, you can name it, killings, murders, who knows what. But there was a lot of interaction going on between the Texas and Mexico border there at Redford, and also Presidio and Presidio County, that whole area. So Simon, he was on his watch actually. At that time, it was 6 o'clock, and his wife's brother, his wife's. Let me think about this. His wife, who is okay. You'll see the name Victorio Ressa. Anyway, he's a Pena relative, so it's Peñas and Ressa. So Paulinar actually would be Mamatola, which Victoria Pena. Her mother was Ressa. Her mother was a Ressa, the same area from Presidio County. They came up from Chihuahua State. So you'll see Ressa name here, and it's interchangeably. You'll see it Reza, Resa. And as we see here, that at the hour mentioned, which was about 6 o'clock the previous afternoon, because this article was written August 1st, 1891, that it's going to read as follows. He was visiting Papa None's house, and then he left the house to go back home. And then before he got more than 50 yards, he was startled by a report of a gun from a cornfield in front of him and a bullet passing very close to his head. So in other words, he was between the assailant and Simon Lerma. And the bullet, let's see, before he recovered, this is Victorio, before he recovered, and he had land there also on the Pena. Penas have a homestead there. They had a homestead. So Lermas had a homestead, Penas had the homestead. Victorio was farming the Ressa homestead, the Pena homestead. He was given some land there. In any case, so before uh, the assailant had fired from a cornfield in front of him, and bullet passing very close to his head. So before Victorio recovered from his astonishment, three more shots were fired, and as they all passed unpleasantly near his head, to awoke to the realization the fact that he was the target for an unseen marked man, immediately started back to the house. On the way, he met the marshal, which was Simon Lerma, and told him, don't be careful. I heard some shots, and Papa None at the time said he heard three shots, and cautioned Victorio not to go back because there was a assailant lying in wait. But Papa None, because of his valor and bravery, started for the concealed assassin before he proceeded, went 20 yards, and then a shot struck him in the right breast here, and then coming out under the pit, entered and passed through his arm like that, right? Right, Robert?
Yes.
Okay, so up to this time, the man had not shown himself, so he was hiding. But the marshal fell, and he jumped on his horse. He saw that the assailant jumped on his horse, right? And then the guy took off, started at the river, the Rio Grande, and then made a good escape to the other side. So he went to Mexico. And then it mentions that the authorities at Mulato's across the street, is across the river from Redford and Polvo, and that they were asking, have they seen anybody? And they couldn't identify anybody there. So Victorio, when he was leaving the house, he was apparently mistaken for a marshal, and it was at some time that he probably will not visit the marshal again. So a little chuckle there, haha, right? So he was not going to definitely not go back at that moment. So immediately upon after immediately wounding of the deputy, Papa Known, a courier was sent to notify the lieutenant who was in the command of the Seminole Negroes there, the Indian Scouts, who, by the way, were stationed there. They were soldiers that were at the forts in between El Paso and all the way to San Antonio and beyond. So they had Seminoles that were brought in as scouts and soldiers to fight the Indians and to keep the fort safe, to keep the community safe in that whole area, the frontier, Texas. And it mentions here that they were scouts who were quartered, had there at the town of Polvo. So when they reached the camp and given the information, uh, which was the work of the moment, Lieutenant Ryan ordered his men to mount and make for the ford where he hoped to intercept the bandit. Now it mentions the ford. The ford is Redford, so the city now, it's a small town. It's like 300 people there. Probably not between 200 and 300 people now. So I mean, there's hardly few farmers, but not even people are farming. It's just a few houses where some of the residents live, but the kids attend school in Presidio, so it's part of the Presidio district, school district there. And from here, they went and tried to find where the assailant had gone, but they evaded the scouts. So it was as close a call as they had ever experienced. So Lieutenant Ryan feels sore at not being able to follow his game any further. The Rio Grande that divides the United States from Mexico, and the troops respected it, right? And then from there, the people of Polvo are very much excited over the matter and regret their inability to bring justice to the men who labor in murdering their best citizens. So, all in all, Papineau went to be bandaged, to have his wound addressed and taken care of. And he was able to pull through, obviously, because we're here. And the reason I say that is because he was actually listed as a fallen officer killed in the line of duty, but he was not. But there are law enforcement agencies out there that are listing him as been deceased from this murder attempt, but he lived. He did live. And he lived till about, I think it was 83. So here he would have been 43, 53, 63, 73, 73. So he would have been 40, 50, 60, 40, 45, about almost 50, 45. Yeah, at that age. So he had already lived pretty much a good life, right? By then he was a middle-aged man. So that's the story behind that. And I have a link, and I'm going to post this link in the comments section, but that link will actually go here to the article here, which is dated Saturday, August 1st, 1891. All right. Any questions on that?
Very good job. Very good job. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to end right there, and then we'll pick up on another part of Simone's life. And again, my name is Robert Mata, and I'm here with Paul and Robert Lerma and their Tia Armida. And we're discussing the Lerma family. And the Lerma family in the United States originated from Texas. And that occurred about 1870. That's the first time I'm able to actually find evidence that the Lermas set foot in Texas and had land. So they were doing okay. They were doing okay when they came into Texas from Mexico, in good shape. All right, so I'm going to end right there.